With the bye week behind them, how can the Broncos recover from their rocky start to the season in order to put themselves in a possible playoff position? Coming up on Broncos Weekend, we'll discuss what the identity of this team needs to be down the stretch, who needs to step up with a few starters still battling injury, and what we can expect this Sunday as the Broncos head to Nashville to take on the Titans. Broncos Weekend starts right now.
You got to have a playoff mentality right now. This is one of those things that you approach, this week, and understand that you're playing a great football team, the Tennessee Titans. They do a lot of great things across the board. We got to be at our best, and we got to bring our A game. And that's what we're looking forward to, is preparing at the highest level this week. The only thing that matters is today. All the other stuff down the road doesn't really matter.
This week, the Broncos hope to build off their most recent win over Jacksonville and start stringing them together with just 9 games remaining on the regular season schedule. Here to outline what we need to see from this Broncos team this week and in the weeks to come, we have the Hall of Famer Steve Atwater and former Broncos offensive lineman Orlando Franklin. Guys, a lot has happened since the last time we sat at this desk. The Broncos snapped their 4-game losing streak in London. Bradley Chubb was traded to the Miami Dolphins. Reinforcements were brought in, and the bye week is in the books. Now that the second half of the season is underway, what identity do you hope to see this team take on over the next 9 weeks?
Well, I just wanted to see that offense gain its identity. I'm really not 100% sure right now. We had a few really good drives in that last game against Jacksonville in London. Long drives that we scored touchdowns on. I want to see more of that, and obviously we're going to get more wins as well.
I'm going to go opposite of Steve because this defense, I'm worried about it. You traded away Bradley Chubb. That was a cornerstone piece of the puzzle for this defense, and like it or not, I've heard so many different things, narratives behind Bradley Chubb, right? Oh, he's not Josh Allen. Oh, he hasn't had the sack numbers, but he has been very consistent in setting the edge. We got Derrick Henry this week, who is going to step up to set the edge and just make defenses not want to run the football on this defense. So I'm looking forward to seeing some of these young guys step up, and it's like the torches have been passed to them, so hopefully they could come through for us.
Opportunity.
Yeah, who do these guys lean on? Obviously, without Bradley Chubb, Randy Gregory's still out, Baron Browning is day-to-day. What does this week look like in terms of the outside linebackers?
Well, obviously, Nick Benito, he's a rookie,
Yep.
So, he's kind of still in learning mode, but I thought he came out had a decent game against Jacksonville. But really, it's got to be Jonathan Cooper. He's the oldest guy that's been here. Now, Jacob Martin, I think he'll make his mark in due time. But if Baron Browning doesn't play, I would say they'll probably be leaning more on Jonathan Cooper and Jacob Martin.
I think we got to take a real good look at what the San Francisco 49ers have done over the last couple years with Chris Kasarik being the defensive line coach. Yeah, we know they have Nick Bosa. We know they've had all these different talented guys up front, but they rotate those guys. It's a heavy rotation, right? We know that Bradley Chubb is no longer here. We know that Baron Browning has been a little bit banged up, right? Randy Gregory got put on IR. Let's look forward to doing a little bit more of a rotation up front and not asking these guys to go out there and play 90% of the snaps. Let's keep these guys as fresh as possible because, like it or not, there is a big drop-off with Bradley Chubb walking out the building last week and going to become a Miami Dolphin.
But if that was you, would you want to come out of the game?
But defensive players, it's a little bit different.
No.
Well, first of all, but also, as an offensive lineman, there is nothing that makes an offensive lineman more frustrated than when there's a long drive, say it's like play 8 of a drive, and you go in the huddle, and you break the huddle and see a brand new, fresh defensive lineman.
Right.
It hurts your soul. It's just like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm tired right now. I'm gassed. And now this guy just came in fresh off the bench, just ready to go. He's going to give you that burst of energy. So I think you could really wear down teams if you adapt and start having a little bit of a rotation up front.
All right, well, we learned earlier this week that Lloyd Cushenberry, he will spend at least the next 4 weeks on IR. Therefore, it's going to be Graham Glasgow. He's going to get the start. Orlando, can you put into perspective some of the challenges that might arise when there's a new starting center, obviously, week 10.
Yeah, well, you guys were across the pond last week with this team. You saw the new challenges. You saw the false start, right? Where immediately Dalton Reisner and Quinn Miners is like, come on, dude, snap the ball, right?
Yeah.
So Glasgow a little late on snapping that ball. But other than that, Glasgow's a pro. And honestly, I've thought for the 3 years that he's been here so far that the Broncos have been kind of playing him out of position. I think he's a better center, especially with the system and the scheme that we're doing now, more of a power system and moving guys vertically off the line of scrimmage. So the Broncos actually might have got better with Lloyd Cushenberry being sidelined for a little bit right now, being that they have changed up their run style the last couple weeks.
Yeah, I got to say, I was impressed with Graham Glasgow. Now, at the guard position, he wasn't as stout as I need him to be, but man, at the center position, he looked perfect. He looked like he was the guy who can hold that job down. And we know Lloyd Cushenberry has had some problems holding that mesh right there as well. So he stepped in and looked good. So I'm anxious to see how he's going to play against a good Titans interior defensive line.
And you got to love the toughness, right? I mean, remember, Glasgow got hurt last year. And for him to come back and step in and not be in that starting role, he's had a lot of time at guard. When Quinn Miners went down earlier, he looks a lot better at center. So love the toughness of him and what he brings in the physicality game that we're going to have in the second half to run the football.
Well, this week the Broncos will have their work cut out for them, taking on the 5-3 Titans, who nearly beat the Chiefs on Sunday night. Here's what was said this week as the Broncos gear up for game day in Music City.
They're an unbelievably physical football team. That's what they pride themselves on. That's how they run the ball. That's how they do everything from defense, offense, and special teams also. I mean, they bring it, and it's something you point out to the team. You let them know that these guys are going to bring it every single down. They love contact. They love being physical. They pride themselves in that.
They're a challenge not only in the run game, the pass game. They get after everyone up front. Big physical guys that can keep their pads down. It's going to be a great challenge for our offensive line. Great challenge even at their linebacker level of being able to get on these guys. Really physical defense across the board. You can't look at one position and say, well, this is a unit you can pick on. So it's going to be a great challenge for our guys up front.
While the Tennessee Titans are the worst team in the league in terms of offensive net yards per game, they have found ways to win games and are currently sitting atop the AFC South standings. Guys, what is your overall impression of this Titans team 8 games into the season?
I think they're a tough football team. I mean, they play hard on both sides of the ball. Offensively, they're going to come and try to pound that ball with Derrick Henry. Yep. And on the defensive side of the ball, they got some mean guys up front, and they got good linebackers and good guys in the secondary. I think this is a good football team. I think it's going to be a good test for our team.
Mike Vrabel has done an excellent job of understanding his personnel and not asking his players to do things that are out of the blue. I'm not going to sit back there and ask Ryan Tannehill to throw the ball 35 times a game. I know that everything is built through this run game and that I have Derrick Henry in the backfield who leads the NFL in rushing yards. So this football team is going to look to establish the run because everything else opens up off of that. You look at this defense just had to go against KC last week on Sunday night. The whole world was watching and had to defend them 91 times. That's a lot. And they still had an opportunity to win this football game. Yeah. So Vrabel's doing a heck of a job of understanding the potential and what each and every individual brings to the table and putting them in the best position to succeed.
Well, the rookie quarterback Malik Willis, he has started the last 2 games for the Titans, obviously with Ryan Tannehill still working his way back from that ankle injury. The Broncos are preparing for both guys. What is the difference between a Tannehill-led offense versus a Willis-led offense?
Well, right now, I think Ryan Tannehill is definitely the more accurate passer. Obviously, he knows the offense much better than Malik Willis does. And I think he's just as mobile as Malik Willis. Watching Malik Willis run around, he's mobile certainly, but man, Ryan Tannehill, he can do those same things. Now, he's had an ankle injury, so I'm not sure how much he's going to try and push it. But if I had to bet, I would bet that Ryan Tannehill is going to play, and that offense is going to play much better than they did the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, just to kind of piggyback off of what Steve said, both quarterbacks have very similar skill set. Obviously, I'm a Bronco fan. I live in Broncos country. I want Malik Willis to play.
Right.
Last week, he just threw the ball to the running back. That's the only completions he's had. So I would love to see that, but you have to prepare for Ryan Tannehill. I don't think that you get worried about the passing game because this team is at the bottom of the league, averaging under 150 yards passing each and every week.
Right.
So you have to stack the box up and get ready to stop the run and dare them to throw the ball, whether it's Tannehill or Willis at the quarterback position.
It's not the most balanced offense we've ever seen. But coming up after the break, these guys will break down the film. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Broncos Weekend. I'm Alexis Perry. Happy to have Steve Atwater and Big O here to dissect a couple clutch plays from the Broncos and Titans' most recent matchup. So you guys, we have talked about Nick Bonito already in this show, but now that Bradley Chubb is a Miami Dolphin, he's going to need to continue making big plays like he did against the Jacksonville Jaguars. What'd you see on this play, Steve?
Well, it was a great play. Nick Bonito stepped up and made a big-time play in a big-time situation here. We see that Mike Purcell is going up against the guard, and he doesn't want the guard to get too far back in the backfield to where he'll be able to get his left hand onto Nick Bonito, whereas Nick Bonito was full speed towards that tackle, was able to get inside the tackle, did a great spin move, and then used his left hand to keep that tackle going, made a great play on the ball. He knocked the ball out of his hand, and we had an opportunity to recover the fumble. We didn't, but still, nonetheless, great play by Nick Bonito.
You know, the thing that I love about this play is that you see the game within the game. Right? At the pre-snap read, the Broncos show up out there and they have two high safeties. And you have Pat Surtain, he's down there low. It looks like cover two all the way that you're going to get a cloud corner. And then, now this is where it starts getting fun, where right before the snap, Pat Surtain starts to bail out. And they end up in playing quarters coverage, where you have your two corners, they're going to have a quarter of the field, and the two safeties, they're going to have a quarter of the field. So you're taking advantage of a young player in Trevor Lawrence and showing him something pre-snap, but then all of a sudden, once he gets the ball in his hand, he has to really take a second look and second guess himself. Yeah. Nick Bonito runs a beautiful game, you know, to kind of double on what Steve has said. Nick Bonito does a great job because he beats the tackle off the line of scrimmage with speed and makes that tackle panic and is able to create a big natural gap where now when he goes inside, now Purcell's is able to shave it off the outside. So the thing that I loved about this play the most, I've always believed when you look at the game of football, it's all about the game within the game and individual matchups. And these guys were able to set this up earlier in the game and show Trevor Lawrence something and now be able to have a big-time play and almost create a turnover because of it.
Well, the Tennessee Titans, they also have a few dynamic pass rushers as well, and they were able to get to Patrick Mahomes 4 times on Sunday night. What did you see specifically on this one here late in the second quarter? Yeah,
great move by Danico Autry and Bud Dupree, the outside linebacker edge guy. Danico Autry, the interior guy, he got the guard to get up the field a little bit, and then the tackle went a little bit too far. And so when Bud Dupree came back underneath, there was just a nice hole in there for Danico Autry to just go right in between the guard and tackle and make the sack there. And, you know, he's a great player. That whole entire defensive line is great, but they worked that game to perfection.
Yeah.
I saw KC being idiots. It's 3rd and 1. Why are you going shotgun? Why are you going 5 wide? Nathaniel Hackett, let's take notes. Let's not even put ourselves in this position. And there's big keys out there for the offensive line to understand that this defensive line is probably going to run a game against you. There's 2-3 techniques. It's 3rd and 1. They're an empty. When I played offensive line, we jog up to that line of scrimmage. Hey, alert, game. And we're all trying to get back off the line of scrimmage to be able to pass that off. So this is a big key. If you break the huddle this week and you see Tennessee with 2-3 techniques up there, I fully expect if we are in shotgun, if we are in 5 wide, hey, Russ, we got to run a quarterback design draw to stay on the field in that situation right there.
This is the 6th different offensive line combination for the Broncos this season. Is there any concern heading into this game, obviously with this defensive line that we know about the Tennessee Titans?
Absolutely. There's always concern, right? Offensive line, you want to take reps and you just want to be able to create that continuity. The best offensive lines are the guys that are able to have every snap together. You know, back in 2014, when I moved from right tackle to left guard, me and Ryan Clady approached the season and approached OTAs. We didn't talk to each other because I knew football, he knew football, but we wanted to see, is he going to step exactly how I expect him to step on this play? So although we knew that we were going on a double team, based on where the linebacker was, he knew that I might go a little further or I might be a little bit tighter on that 3 technique. And that's why we were able to excel when we got to the season, because we were able to have 10,000 or so snaps together. With the Broncos right now having this 6 different combination, that hurts this football team, and you have to figure out ways to highlight what guys already do really good and now continue to go in the right direction and make sure you're calling those type of plays week in, week out.
Yeah, I don't have much to add to that. It's a fact that offensive linemen, they love playing together, and normally the teams that go far deep into the playoffs, they don't have that many variations in their offensive line throughout the season. They may have a game or two where a guy's out, but it's not like every week they're changing up guys because of injuries and other reasons.
Right.
So this definitely isn't to the Broncos' benefit, but guess what? It's the situation we have, and we got to make the best of it.
Well, still to come here on Broncos Weekend, we'll discuss a few key matchups to keep your eye on this week in Nashville. Don't go anywhere.
Now, I'm not going to necessarily look at it from the standpoint of they're not doing good on the pass game. I think they're doing great in the run game. And, they're winning a lot of football games, and they're doing a really good job on that. In the end, they're a physical team like we talked about, and that's what they want to live by. That's their philosophy. Worked with Coach Downing in my past, and he's the offensive coordinator there. And I know that, he's always looking for the pass, but he's also smart enough to know when you have an opportunity to hand the ball to number 22, it's a pretty good idea. So I think that they're a very good football team. Stats are one thing, but record's the end game.
Yeah, it really starts up front. We got to do a heck of a job hitting blocks and really trying to control the line of scrimmage. And he's like you said, he's a great player, and we got to get a lot of people to the party. You just don't want one guy trying to tackle him consistently. So we got to run to the ball, we got to hit blocks up front, and play that type of game.
Thanks for sticking with us for this final segment of Broncos Weekend, everyone. It is time for the key matchups of the game. So let's start with the key matchup for the entire Broncos defense as they need to slow down Titans running back Derrick Henry. This dude is on an absolute tear right now as just one of 2 players in the league already over 1,000 scrimmage yards this season. He's rushed for over 100 yards the past 5 games, including 219 Week 8 against the Texans. Guys, how can Denver's defense just minimize his impact this week? Big O.
I think you got to go big nickel. Typically, when the Broncos go into their nickel formation, they'll have 4 down defensive linemen, and they'll only have 2 linebackers, and then you insert K'Wan Williams as the nickel back. I would like to see something that's a little bit more unconventional, where you go to big nickel, where it's Justin Sternad becomes the nickel guy. And now Pat Surtain and K'Wan Williams, those are your 2 cornerbacks. And what that does is it removes a guy from the line of scrimmage, and you allow these 3 inside linebackers now to go downhill. Now, with that being said, I want to see DJ Jones and Mike Purcell's out there on the field at the same time. Mike Purcell's being the 1 technique, DJ Jones being the 3 technique. So what does that do to now Draymond Jones? He's got to be the defensive end in certain situations. Mm-hmm. We've seen Izarro do it in passing situations, the money down, the 3rd and longs, and you put your hybrid package out there. But why not get Draymond out there to set the edge in the run game as well? I think if they do that, they could really shock this Tennessee offensive line and really neutralize a guy like Derrick Henry.
Yeah, now that's the strategy of how to do it, but when it comes down to it, somebody's going to have to buckle up and hit that man head up in the hole. And I think it's going to be the linebackers are going to have to do it. The safeties are going to have to do it. Cornerbacks are going to have opportunities to do it as well. But you can't be afraid. I mean, he's a huge human being, and he's running full speed. But guess what? You get paid to play football, and it's a tough decision, but you got to do it.
You got to bring him back, Christian Okoye.
Hey, got it back. Hey, you don't even have to do that. You just got to get him on the ground. Just grab on and hit him and hold on.
I think this week too, what's important is like we always talk about body blows, right? And I brought up that Christian Okoye, right? He was a big back. He delivered the body blows, and you were able to get that big hit that we know on him. But this defense has to think, we got to play through the whistle. I can't just look at, Josie Jewell, he has him right there. No, you play through the whistle.
Yeah.
You deliver those body blows, so when the 4th quarter does come, Derrick Henry feels it a little bit and is not running as hard as he once was because you've been hitting him the whole entire time.
Yeah, and the guy, he may be in the grasp of someone, he may be going down to the ground, but guess what? Everybody needs to get in there and pepper him. Everybody, pat.
Yep, every single time.
How similar is Christian Okoye to Derrick Henry, vice versa?
I don't know. I don't think they're that similar because Derrick Henry, he has
just
speed.
two big dudes.
Yeah, two big, huge, huge human beings. Both of them are great running backs, though. But Derrick Henry has a skill set that I think is just on another level.
That's that 40 time, right?
That 40 time.
That 40 time is a little different.
Yeah. Well, last week, we all know the Titans, they relied heavily on the run game, like they do every week, obviously. But Malik Willis, he was really struggling to connect with his wideouts, given the fact that they really couldn't get open on those one-on-one plays. The wide receivers, they actually didn't have a single catch last week against the Chiefs. How does this Broncos pass defense make it 2 weeks in a row?
Well, for me, it's you dare them to throw the ball.
Do it.
I want 8 people.
Do it.
I want 8 people at the line of scrimmage and saying, hey, you know what? We're playing man-to-man coverage. We don't care that you know that. You're going to have to be perfect in how you throw the football. But we are selling out to stop the run.
Would you do that even with Ryan Tannehill?
Yes. He's coming off that injury, a little bit rusty. That's the game plan against Tennessee because Tennessee, the lowest team in passing yards this year. They're under 150 yards in passing. This team does not want to throw the football. Right. They want to get the running game going. But if you could just neutralize that and take that away completely, which the Broncos have in the past, that's what we forget to talk about. Derrick Henry has never went for over 80 yards on the Broncos in his whole entire time in the National Football League. So we have done it, but it's all about daring these guys to pass and letting them know we're playing man-to-man coverage because we're going to stop this running game. Yeah,
I agree. You got to commit to stopping the run, stopping Derrick Henry, and if they catch a couple of passes, hey, it's no big deal. I doubt they'll have any deep passes. Now, Treylon Burks, the Arkansas Razorback alumni, he's got off of IR. I'm not sure if he'll play this week or not, but if he's there, I think he'll be a little bit of a threat. But other than him, I think that we'll be able to keep them under control.
As for the Broncos passing game in London, we witnessed Greg Dulcich's best game of his young career so far. 3 games in, 87 yards, including 78 there on that Broncos 98-yard scoring drive. What has really impressed you guys about his first 3 games in the league?
Everything. Like I came in, so in 2011, I got drafted here with two really, really good tight ends, but both of them were opposite, right? Virgil Green, blocking tight end, loved it, took passion to it, absolutely loved putting his hand in the dirt and trying to demoralize another human being when he lined up against him. Then Julius Thomas that could expose a linebacker if you put him in coverage or a DB. What's very interesting is still those guys had a learning curve. Greg Dulcich came in, got hurt in OTAs, came back, got hurt in training camp, got put on IR, and all of a sudden he goes out there and accounts for 78 yards out of the Broncos' 98-yard drive. Which I'm just like, what's going on here? So I've been really impressed with the production of him, but also this coaching staff really developing him. I know the coaching staff has caught a lot over the first 8 games of the season. We're thinking that the Broncos' record should be better than it is, but what they have done with Greg Dulcich has been no short of spectacular, in my opinion.
Yeah, and when you see a guy that's missed that much time in training camp and then early in the season, you wonder, man, is he behind? But man, he must have been in the film rooms and studying, making sure he knew exactly what was going on because Russ and they're on the same page. Russ is looking for him and he's right there wide open and he's reeling those balls in and great run after the catch. I love his speed, love his size. I think he's going to be a weapon for us for years to come.
How do you want to see him utilized this week specifically?
The same way he was utilized last week.
Even without KJ Hamler, possibly?
Yeah.
I feel like they kind of played in tandem together. Yeah,
that's a good point. But I still would like to see Greg Dulcich with the ball down the field. I don't want to see him all of a sudden starting to run across the formation and handing the ball off like we did with Noah Fant back a couple of years ago. I want to see him down the field vertically because he presents a problem to the secondary.
Yeah, I think you got to continue to build on the things that you have done with them already. But there's one little wrinkle that I would like to see, and that's a tight end screen. I really believe, you put Dulcich on one of these defensive ends, especially because we know that Tennessee will rush 4 and they'll drop 7 back out in coverage. If you line Dulcich up and have him have to block the defensive end by itself, and now you're able to get Cam Fleming and Quinn Miners out there in front of him, or Graham Glasgow, whoever the case may be. I really think think you could find another way to create explosive plays for him because he has showed that he has the vision. He showed that he's willing to block. So I really think that this opens up a whole new layer and another dynamic for this offense.
All right, well, finally, I have to mention Jerry Jeudy, who I feel like has been heating up a little bit over the past couple of weeks. This week, we're going to see him up against Josh Kalu. You guys, who has the advantage in this matchup?
Well, anybody's going up against Jerry Jeudy, I say Jerry Jeudy has the advantage. I don't know that anyone can just line up over him. Maybe Pastor Tan. But other than Pastor Tan, I don't know that anyone can line up over him and cover him man-to-man all day long and him not end up wide open on at least 60, 70, 80% of the plays.
Right.
Yeah, so what Jerry Jeudy has done, he's added another layer of his game. We've seen it. We've seen the CeeDee Lambs. We've seen the Justin Jefferson, how those guys have came into the league, put up huge numbers, but also have brought the physicality. Last week on 2nd and 5, Jerry Jeudy caught a ball and right on to the left, and that same play, he would try to just beat the guy with speed and get around the edge and run out of bounds in a situation like that. But he caught the ball and said, no, I see 2 defenders right there. I'm going to try to go through you guys. Right. So that's what I've been impressed with him doing, but I really think that he could build upon that. And when a cornerback knows that a wide receiver will catch the ball and try to run through their face, cornerback starts backing up. So then also Russell Wilson's throwing them the ball a lot more and looking for number 10. So I don't think Jerry Jeudy's slowing down. I think he's here to stay.
And I also think this is a crucial moment in Jerry Jeudy's career.
Absolutely.
This is a pivotal point. Right after the bye, coming off a decent game, it's time for him to step up and show the world what he can do.
Yeah, can't disappear, right? Got to keep on trending upwards.
All right, guys, that's all the time we have for Broncos Weekend. Can't wait to watch this one unfold Sunday morning at 11 a.m. local time in Denver. Of course, catch that game on CBS and then catch up with me and the Denver 7 crew at 6:30 on Tuesday night for Broncos Country Connected. For Steve Atwater and Orlando Franklin, I'm Alexis Perry. Thanks so much for watching.